What would you sacrifice for your faith? Would you dare offer the one thing you love the most, just to keep a promise to God? This is the haunting story of Jephthah, a man whose vow would echo through eternity, shaking the very foundations of what we think we know about obedience, honor, and sacrifice. In the shadows of the book of Judges lies one of the Bible's most disturbing tales: a warrior, an outcast, a leader who rose from rejection to power, only to make a vow so devastating it would cost him everything. His name was Jephthah, and the promise he made to God, it would demand a price no man should ever pay. To understand Jephthah, we must travel back to a time of chaos, a time when Israel had no king, and every man did what was right in his own eyes. Vows in ancient Hebrew culture were sacred, unbreakable, a direct transaction between man and the divine. In this world, honor was survival, and once a vow was spoken, there was no turning back. Jephthah was born of a prostitute, an unwanted child cast out by his own people. Driven away, he grew up in exile, hardened by rejection, but sharpened by survival. He became a mighty warrior, feared and respected by those around him. When the Ammonites threatened Israel, the elders came crawling back to Jephthah, begging him to lead them into battle. But Jephthah, marked by betrayal, demanded a binding agreement. He would only fight if they made him ruler upon victory. And so, he returned. But before the battle, in a moment of desperation or perhaps ambition, Jephthah made a vow to God. "If you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph, I will offer it as a burnt offering." A promise made in faith or in folly. Victory was swift. Israel triumphed. Jephthah returned home, covered in glory. And then, it happened. From the door of his house came dancing, not a servant, not an animal, but his daughter, his only child, and time stopped. Scripture tells us he tore his clothes in anguish, but the vow, it had been spoken. The implications were unimaginable. Did God ever want such a sacrifice? Could a vow made in zeal justify a horror so great? And yet, Jephthah did not turn back. He honored the vow, and his daughter, nameless in the text, asked only for time to mourn her fate, her virginity, her life unfulfilled. She returned, and she was offered. The silence that follows in the biblical account is deafening. From that day on, Israelite women would go to the mountains each year, mourning the daughter of Jephthah for 4 days, a practice born from grief, from trauma, from a vow that never should have been spoken. But was this story meant to praise Jephthah or to warn us? Generations have debated, did he literally sacrifice her? Or was she condemned to a life of celibacy? Either way, the cost was irreversible, and the lesson, eternal. The story of Jephthah lingers like a shadow across the pages of Scripture. It forces us to ask terrifying questions. How far should faith go? What if our zeal blinds us to truth? And when we speak to God, do we truly understand what we're asking for? This tale is not just about a vow, it's about the weight of words, the cost of promises, and the echoes of silence after obedience has taken something it should never have touched. So again, I ask you, what would you sacrifice for your faith?